Hey YouTube, Logan with Hideaway Homestead here, coming to you today with a video on black soldier fly larva. This is a late in the day video. I really got to get back on putting up my videos every day, and I wanted to start out with these black soldier fly larvae and just show y'all kind of what I'm doing right now. So online you'll see a lot of places where people are doing black soldier fly larvae, and they buy either these really expensive bins for harvesting them, or they do like a grow system where they've got them in trays, or they do build some kind of DIY something. Well, this is something different than anything I've ever seen, and so I'm trying it out and seeing how it's going to work. It seems to be working decent so far. I'm hoping to have a really good harvest here soon, because it seems like a lot of the larvae are still real young. But what I'm doing here is I've just got these barrels leaned on this landscaping timber here with buckets underneath them. Now with black soldier fly larvae, if you're not familiar with them, when they get ready to pupate, they're going to go into a little pupa state, and in order for them to be able to survive, they can't stay in there with the other grubs, or the maggots. And so what they have to do is they have to climb out of the material that they're eating and get away from them, so that way they don't get eaten. That's what the buckets are for. All this is leaned on like a I'd say like 20 to 30 degree angle, somewhere around in there. It ain't quite 45. And for them to climb out and fall into the buckets. Now I've got just some barrels that are open right here, and I've had some, you can see there's just a couple in there crawling around, just a couple come out. It kind of depends on the harvest there. I've got some in here too. Depends on when the eggs were laid and how many you're going to have come out at a time. But what you can do is you can just take those and feed them to your chickens, fish, hogs, whatever it is that you've got. It's a great source of protein. I think I'm going to probably misquote this, but I think they're 40% protein and 30% fat. I could be wrong on that. If somebody in the comment section knows exactly what percentage they are of fat and protein, go ahead and drop that in the comment section. I'll have a correction if it's wrong in the next video I make about them. But I'm pretty sure that's the analysis of these little larvae. So the adults come in here, and you can see an adult right there. They lay their eggs up above the area where the material that the grubs are going to eat. Stuff like wet dog food, animal carcasses. I've thrown some leftovers from rabbits and other animals in this bin, and I'm using coffee grounds to throw in there to cover up the smell, and it's also something that the grubs can eat. So I lay those eggs, they drop in there, they grow for about 45 days to hatch out into a fly, and the fly will not have any mouth parts or a sting or anything. They look kind of dangerous, like they're a wasp, but they can't do anything except for reproduce. So they go and they lay eggs and get in and lay it in an area where they've got some food matter. So anything that you've got waste wise, is whether it's stuff from animal carcasses, coffee grounds, vegetable waste. There are, like, before I covered this up with coffee grounds, you could see all the larvae in here. There's probably, I'd say, several thousand in this one barrel. Now the barrels are working pretty decent with them crawling out like this with just the barrel open. But what I'm trying to do with these is leave a piece of the barrel here. As you can see, I made a hole. Now I've got some ants in here too. This lip seems like it might be too much for them to crawl up on. So what I may do is push some of this back and make another hole right here, and see if I don't get better harvest from that. But all these in here seem kind of young, so it may be that they're just not ready yet. You'll have some times where you have a full bucket, or you might just have a few in there. All depends. But this is a great way of getting rid of all that waste and turning it into protein for your animals. Now you can freeze these grubs, or you can dehydrate them and have protein for the winter. I think this is probably the only way that you would ever be able to do like chickens, ducks, and other poultry, or any kind of omnivore on the homestead without buying feed for them. I think this is probably going to be the only way, because you need something saved up for the winter time for when there's no bugs outside for chickens. just because they do not have any way to get bugs when it's, you know, dead of winter. So I would say this with some freeze drying or some, you know, dehydrating, freezing, whatever you can do to preserve them would be a great way to save up protein for the winter time. Also great for fish. I'm really looking forward to having this system really rock after I've done some experimentation with it and I get a bigger system going. These will not reproduce in the winter, of course, because they are insects. So you need to redo the system every spring. Or you could even set up a little indoor system. You can look online to see how those are done to be able to keep the flies going through the winter time. And as soon as it gets warm enough outside, you can reintroduce them. If you're in the southeast, there's absolutely no need to do that. You can just restart the bins and the flies will come. But hopefully this is something for you to think about. With the chickens, it is pretty hard to get them on enough grain, like, you know, growing your own grain. I think that an acre will carry something like, I heard a number like 50 chickens through the winter if you grow an acre of grain, but that is a lot of grain, and that's, if you're gonna hand harvest, it's way too much work, in my opinion, when you can do something that's far more efficient, like saving up the black soldier fly larva, putting back some greens and stuff, or maybe doing some sprouts with your grains, because you can grow a lot less grains and do that. And of course, reducing your flock or whatever it is that you're keeping for the winter time. You know, getting rid of all the ones that you're gonna put in the freezer, and make it to where you don't have such a high feed requirement for your birds or whatever it is that you're keeping. So I'm gonna be following up with this black soldier fly bin and letting y'all know how it goes. I'm gonna be talking a little bit more about coffee grounds and their uses. If you're a gardener, you kind of probably already know about them, but some of the stuff that can be done with those. And stay tuned for that. If you liked the video, found any value in it, go ahead and leave a like. If you've got any questions or comments, drop those down below. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do so. I appreciate all y'all watching, and we'll see you in the next one.